can't accept the loss, I'm hard-headed. There's a little bit of madness to my method. Many falling off that fine line that I'm treading. I risk anything to be great, and I'm not letting nobody rob me of my victory. Number one, that's what I'm meant to be. When by any means, only thing that makes sense.
Here we go. It is episode 21 of the Red, White, and Crew podcast. Boys, we made it to 21. Can you believe that?
Crazy.
It's crazy.
21 in, I think, like 40 days, 41 days, 42 days, something like that. So thank you for joining us. If you're just joining us again, this is our post final recap as well as our World Cup review, where we'll discuss kind of in depth a little bit in terms of we're going to look at the final as well as just thoughts on the World Cup as a whole. And then we'll discuss about kind of what's in the works as far as the future of the podcast as well. Thank you for joining us. Before we dive into anything, though, really quick, want to tell you about our proud partners at GoalGetter. GoalGetter is brings you this episode, and they are a recruiting education platform built to help female soccer student athletes. They also they're designed to help families navigate the path to college soccer. The process can feel overwhelming, especially when families don't fully understand the recruiting landscape. GoalGetter provides the education, tools, and guidance families need to navigate the recruiting landscape and make informed decisions. To get more information, you can find them on socials, both on X and on Instagram, at GoalGetter Soccer. That's GOLGETR Soccer. Again, that's GOLGETR Soccer, as well as on their website at goalgetter.com. Gents, had a little bit of time to digest that final. How are we doing?
Good. It was a good one. I mean, just being maybe the play wasn't always the best, but it was just fun to watch a World Cup final for sure.
Yeah. Wes?
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to see the amount of shots that Argentina was not able to get. I mean, I think final stat was like 2 that they got.
Mm-hmm. 2.
Yeah, but
they got their first shot at the 117th minute mark.
And nothing was on frame.
No.
Yeah.
So 0 shots on goal after you put up, I think it was like 19 goals or something like that.
Yeah. It's the performance, obviously, in terms of we knew what we were going to get out of Spain, right? They're consistent in terms of their style. Argentina was going to have to figure out how they were going to be able to manage, right, and put up and absorb all of that without the ball, their moments without the ball. We knew they would look to make it physical, but all in all, it just, you look at them last night across the board from just various pundits, different media, they were getting, in terms of their performance, their play, Argentina was just getting absolutely destroyed, right? Because of the talent that they have, and then of course because the great legendary talent that they have in Messi, right? So very, as is often the case in tournaments, right? The final tends to be very ugly. Everyone's playing to win, obviously. A lot more cautious, can be much more defensive. You see certain challenges, certain tackles. There was I think a total of 46 or 47 fouls in this match. We're going to dive into the stats in a little bit, but it was just pretty crazy. Finals do tend to be pretty ugly. They're not always the prettiest, right? Especially, comparing that to the third place match, especially. Very interesting to come off of that. So, all right. So before we transition and start diving in a little bit more into the final, so got to tell you, or ask you, I should say, Elias, how's coaching school out in Houston?
It's good, man. I got to go to a couple sessions this morning. Got to go to a couple yesterday. So it's been good. Just always to network and get to. And even just coaches outside of soccer that you don't always get to see. So
right,
it's been fun.
Yeah, big trend or anything different stand out to you from just general or also from the soccer perspective from what you've sat in on and just talking with people?
I think it's it's pretty similar to the past couple of years, I think, and the kind of presenters they brought in, and you got a lot of really good coaches that they get to share a little bit of their ideas. Again, the field demo is, I think they're playing on like a 20 by 20 box, so it's hard to really get anything out of there. But I thought the coaches did a really good job of trying to adjust as best as they could in those situations. So
I'm trying to remember this. Do you feel, is it identical in size or is it larger or smaller than what they had out in San Antonio last year?
It looked a little small, to be honest. I think the exhibit hall in Houston is a little bit smaller than the exhibit hall in San Antonio, so I think there was
Yeah,
less space for sure.
I just can't remember the space from Houston from what 2 years ago? Was it 2 or 3 years ago? three
Yeah,
years ago? Yeah,
2 or 3, yeah.
yeah. So, all right, so we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna dive in here. So, first thing I want to bring up really quick is look back at the final team stats from last night's final. Uh, you can see those here. So Argentina comes in with there was a point where they had I think a .17 expected goal rate at some point in this match from what I read somewhere. But the possession we expected, the shots on goal or shots in general is what really surprised us. I think Spain had ended up with a total of about 20 total shots to their 12 shots on goal. 763 passes, accurate passes, big chances there, 4 and 3 for Spain, and none for Argentina. And then, of course, 11 saves for Emi Martinez, who did all accounts was having a fabulous match, right? And then, yeah, there we go. So what's that? 46 total fouls. When you look at this, boys, just sometimes we say like on paper, right? You got to play the match, and then post match, the stats don't tell the story. This one very much told the story, right? You see there, Spain with an XG rate of 2.29 to finish out the match. Of course, they win 1-0 in the end with Ferran Torres' great goal at the what was that 106th minute, I think it was.
Six. Yeah.
Yeah. So thoughts on this when you look at these particular, just the game that we saw and how it matches up with the numbers.
I think the saves for me, man, that's crazy. 11 saves to 0, showing one keeper had to do a whole lot of work. And he really, thinking back on it, man, he made some game-saving saves. I know in the free kick right before extra time happened, I thought Lamine won it. Thought he was going to get his moment right there, and he did a fantastic job to make that save. And all doing it on a broken finger too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, Elias?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that in the first half, even though Spain was controlling the game, it kind of seemed like Argentina was doing a pretty good job of keeping them from creating too much. But then as the game wore on, it just looked like Argentina was just getting more and more overrun. Spain
Hmm.
started to really, really dominate, and then the big chances started to come on. You know, I think actually all four of those big chances were created by Pedri after the
Yeah.
62nd minute when he came on. So I
Yeah.
thought Spain, did a great job of with their lineup. They started kind of more solidly, controlled the game, and then it ended up being about the halfway mark, right, 60th minute, because we went to 120. They
Right.
brought on Pedri, they brought on Nico, and those kind of players. Ferran Torres added some pace, added some dynamicism, and were able to kind of take full control
Hmm.
of the game. And yeah, I mean, I talked about it in the preview. I was interested to see if Emi Martinez could hold up, and he is a reason that it was only 1-0. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And we knew that Argentina's midfield was up against it going into this match, right? That is really the strength, the heart, and the soul of the Spanish squad. But it was in that post Pedri, right? We start talking in that period, that last, I don't know, maybe 15 to 20 of the second half. You can clearly see, for all intent purposes, Argentina's midfield is overrun. And then now it was basically you were about to see that back line largely overrun, right? So it kind of had the feeling like it was just a matter of time, and then the goal the goal never came, and then we had the one goal called back. What were your thoughts on the goal that was called back?
it was they didn't show super close in replays. I mean, the one replay I saw, it did look like he stepped on him. Is it enough contact? I don't know. Um, but I was thinking about it, and it contact, right? So I don't know. I don't know. That'd be a rough way to lose the game for Argentina.
Right.
So
Well, you know what it reminded me of, kind of to a looser extent, was kind of the Balogun play, right? Where it was just two players making a play on the ball, and you accidentally get stepped on. I get it. You're trying to protect, and obviously it was nowhere near as severe in terms of the potential injury, or and it clearly wasn't malicious. But that was kind of one of those where it kind of, I don't know, it kind of reminded me of that. Could that have been reviewed in any way, shape, or form? I know we're still getting used to the new rules, the new laws in terms of how VAR is implemented on those, but yeah, everyone's still thoroughly confused as to what can be reviewed, or when it can be reviewed, and when it can't, right? When VAR chooses to apply protocol, right? So,
Yeah, and
Wes, what are
yeah,
your thoughts on it? Or go ahead, Elias.
sorry, just to add on
No, you're
the referees. I think we talked about it really early in the show. It always seems like every World Cup, there's some weird things that that FIFA emphasizes that kind of are abnormal, maybe so than because like UEFA. I think a lot of us watch a lot of Champions League, a lot of Premier League, a lot of La Liga, and UEFA's like, well, we're not going to do it that way, but FIFA's like, we're going to do it that way. So it starts to become points of emphasis for different competitions. And I think that can be confusing for the average fan, for fans and players too, because they're used to playing 50 games out of the year with one set of rules, and now they're in the biggest games of their lives with a different set.
I saw a video, a clip. I gotta find it. I want to say it was Landon Donovan. It was Landon Donovan. So, their their show on Saturday, their final preview show, him and Tim Howard, he was talking about how I forgot where he said they were. I don't know if it was in Dallas or where they were, but in a hotel, and he's in the elevator with one of the officials that oversees the planning stages, everything for all the officials for FIFA, and they get into it. They start talking about it, and then there was another official in there with them, and he just started talking about how, hey, no pity party, not making any excuses, but the reality of it is kind of along the lines of what you said, right? Is that FIFA brings all these officials from all over the world together from different confederations, right, who are identified as the top officials, right, in their area, in their region, in their confederation, whatever. And they're used to certain levels of emphasis, right, from their respective leagues, their respective confederations, what have you. And then FIFA just kind of gives them a whole new set of parameters, right, on top of the rules, all the rule changes that just came right at the start of the World Cup, right? And he said it's awfully hard to try to, one, get it down in such a short amount of time, and then two, be consistent with it across the board. So yeah, it was a great little clip. I have to find it, see if I can get it to you guys on Unfiltered Soccer. Give him a little shout out there. But yeah, he talked about it for probably about a good 2 minutes. So, Wes, any additional thoughts on that?
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine that reached out, and we were talking about that foul, and he was like, "You can't tell me that if that would have been your player that got stepped on, that you wouldn't have been going nuts about there a foul happening." I said, "No, probably not, because my player wasn't going to flop on the ground like that. We don't really tend to do that." But I just saw it as incidental. I thought he did a great job. There was a play where I think it was Simeone and Cucurella, they got into it, right, where they were kind of running and they just kind of smashed into each other.
Right.
And the ref's like, you were looking at the ball, you weren't playing each other. Simeone was trying to kind of draw the foul there,
Yeah.
and he played on. And I thought that was the same thing. And what makes me most frustrated with referees is if it's a foul, if it's not a foul in the run of play out in the field, then it's not a foul when it's in the penalty box.
Correct.
Don't change the way you're going to call something just because of where the location is on the field. So I was annoyed with it. I thought Nico needed his goal.
And I think that's the hard part, right? Because if you're trying to inadvertently, via VAR, trying to rule out or officiate out the incidental contact portion of the game, right? It's going to be impossible. It's going to be, we're going to have much longer matches. So
I don't even think he'd go to VAR. I don't even think he did. I think he called it.
He called it on the field.
Yeah.
But he didn't call it until the ball went in the back of the net.
Yeah, it was pretty quick though. I think he stepped on it, the ball hit and then so I don't know if maybe the AR actually is the one that saw it.
Could have been.
And then
It had to have been the AR because there was no chance he saw that from where he was at. Plus, it was on the turn too, so he had the turn. Then he played it right in to the goalkeeper. That's when it ricocheted out to Nico, and Nico hit it. And then as soon as it was in the back of the net was when he was blowing his whistle.
Yeah.
So this one, obviously, there's no denying it. Goes to 120 extra time, and it was ugly. It was, which kind of was sucky from the standpoint of one compared to what we saw 4 years ago in the 2022 final, which was an epic final, right? But also, just such a great World Cup here in 2026 for it to end on that note. It sucks. It does, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. So after, I think one of the key turning points in this match was clearly the second yellow red to Enzo Fernandez there, because now because you theoretically you had to look at it as if Argentina was already playing with 10 to begin with because of how they use Messi, right? So then all of a sudden, so now Messi has to move and run a lot more to make up for that as well. But in the final 120, after the second yellow to Enzo, do you think it matters, right? If Argentina finish with a full 11, do you think it go to penalties or not really? What do you think?
I think it could have.
Yeah.
Even at the end, it looked like Argentina may find one super late. I mean, Paul Kubarsi had that incredible goal line clearance where he put it
See
over the
that?
bar.
Yeah.
So, and again, it's the consistency, right? Like, if Jude Bellingham had gotten a second yellow after his first yellow was for going like this to the referee, everyone would have been going crazy. But you see him doing that all the time, telling the ref to F off. So
Yeah.
that to me, it was, again, it just goes back to consistency, right? Like the second one, 100% a yellow card, no doubt about it. You can't argue it. I mean, maybe even borderline straight red. It didn't look like there was a ton of, like, it was the way that Kubarsi came in, I think, that made him flip, and the way that he was hit. But I don't know about the first one, just because I think in the professional setting, that's pretty common where players tell the refs to
Right.
give them some choice words all the time.
Well, and you know how it is. Sometimes when you're on the field, which obviously we're not there, but when you're on the field and he had been running his mouth long enough, unofficial, we've all seen
Yeah.
it. We've
Yeah.
all seen
Yeah.
it, right? So who knows? But so the speaking of which, so Hernan Torres gets the goal. Did you guys see the video that I shared late last night on the kind of eerily similar breakdown in the sequences? Not identical, obviously, but
Yeah.
Andres Iniesta's
Yeah.
2010 game winner, and how this one, I mean, they ran to the same corner as well, everything. It was pretty crazy. So I just looked at that. I was like, where have I seen that before? And sure enough.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a very similar final to 2010.
It did, yeah. I thought you were spot on. I thought you were spot on with that. I thought you were spot on.
I thought that, everyone saw Argentina, as this attacking prowess team, but they just went to make the game dirty. It's very similar to how the Netherlands played back in 2010. But no, I mean, I thought it was a win for
Who
football.
was it that had that epic foot right in the chest for Xabi Alonso? Who was that again? For
Nigel De Jong.
De Jong, yeah.
Nigel De Jong. Imagine that in VAR times. Right?
So I was going to say, that wasn't even called a red, wasn't it? It was just a
not
yellow?
even- I don't know that he gave a yellow.
He gave a yellow, yeah.
I'd have to go back. I'd have to go back. He had to have gotten at least a yellow, I would imagine.
I think it was a yellow. I think I was so confused why it wasn't a red, though.
Yeah. I mean, the foot's in the middle of his chest. But
Yeah. So so now, thoughts overall. We look at the breakdown. Final score, obviously 1-0. You look back on this match. Anything? I think what surprised me the most for me was just the performance of Argentina as a whole in terms of Messi's teammates not stepping up more, right? And earlier, right? And Spain is they do what they do, man. And there's a trend here, right? That Spain tends to, when they win World Cup titles, they win them not through any fault of their own, but they win finals pretty ugly, right? Because of what they force the opponent to have to try to do, right? But I just thought that Argentina should have been capable of so much more in terms of how they played. I kept waiting for it to come beyond all the dark arts and the circus stuff that I knew were going to be there, and it just never came.
I mean, I did expect more, but at the same time, I didn't. I mean, this is a very similar performance to what Spain did to France. I mean, they completely shut down the best front four in the world. So,
Yeah.
I saw something. I think throughout the whole tournament, they conceded like 2.5 XG combined. The next lowest was like Italy in '06 with 3.5, and they played a whole game less.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just defensively, I mean, I know everyone gets enamored with the way that they play with the ball and their midfielders and their style and stuff, but defensively, there was not a single team that really was able to cause them problems defensively
No.
just because of how they were able to suffocate you before you even got going. And they did a really good job. Laporta, I mean, they targeted Messi in the build-up. They got the ball to Laporta a lot, or they made him play, versus him and Cucurella. Then they were so it was overall Spain did a fantastic job of
Yeah.
controlling the tempo of the game and really just completely neutering Argentina. I mean, it was. I
It
mean,
was it was shock. It was still shockingly like bad.
yeah,
I gotta admit. So given Argentina's who they are, right, their name. But yeah, it was still. I was like, wow. So I guess I'd have to go back and look at the Cape Verde match just to see how much on the front foot they played versus Spain in that, because that was so long ago, right? 'Cause I knew they did a great job defensively. We talk about and their goalkeeper, but going forward, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at that just to see how attack oriented they try to play versus Spain.
yeah, because I think even France, they created 0.31 XG. I mean, we're talking about
Yeah,
you know, we're talking about Argentina being terrible going forward, but France creates point 0.1 more.
yeah,
This is one of the most dominant World Cup performances of all time. And I know that they don't have necessarily the huge names, but this has to be one of the best World Cup teams ever with the way that they dominated every single game. Even that Cabo Verde game, if Ferran Torres doesn't hit the bar, that's 7-0, I think.
yeah.
Because that
Yeah.
completely changes the game. So,
Right. Well, you go back to that France match. Simon's play, I think, what was so critical, coming so far off his line outside of the 18 so many times to just nullified any attempt where you thought they might have a true counter.
yeah.
But
And he
yeah,
had one on Messi early in the game. Messi
did have
looked
one
like
on
he was
Messi.
Messi looked like he was in, timed his run perfectly. And then Unai Simon was like almost at midfield on the sideline, and he came a long way out of his goal. So
yeah,
yeah, he was the perfect keeper. I know that everyone talks about David Raya, and then also even Johan Garcia, who was amazing for Barcelona. But Unai Simon was the perfect goalkeeper for this team.
yeah. So much credit to De La Fuente, man, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
he knew them so extremely well given his history, right? Coming through the coming through the national team, the Spain, just their system as well, and developing these players, but also working with them, and then it just seemed like every substitution was like strategically perfect. Every substitution, not just who he subbed, but when he subbed them as well. I mean, that takes some balls too when you're pulling out Rodri, when you're
Yeah.
pulling him out, so.
Well,
that's
and he
something-
pulled out Laporta too.
Right, right.
I mean, he brought on Zubamendi and Eric Garcia, who hadn't played the entire tournament, to close out a World Cup final. I mean, that is just fantastic coaching right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the post-match extracurriculars taking place, not a good look at all, right?
No.
On so many levels, just disappointed on that on so many fronts, and I just got to be better, got to be much better on that. I sent you guys the clip yesterday as well, late last night, of Scaloni. The Touchline has put something out, but I don't know how official that is. But Touchline had put out something saying that he was probably not he was going to see out the calendar year, but would not be returning. So what that means, right, as far as it relates to the U.S. men's national team and Pochettino, who knows, right? TBD, I guess. So thoughts on that?
No, I thought it was ugly after the game. I thought the one nice moment was seeing Lamine Yamal and Messi. Messi sitting on the ground, and Yamal goes over to him, and Messi gets up, and they kind of have a good hug and embrace and say something to each other, and then move on. I thought that was cool. But, yeah, all the other stuff was crazy. And I hate that for Pochettino, like you said, that I get it, man. Wanting to go coach for your country, it's a whole other thing, man. And all the good that he's done here is great. And if he decides to leave, wish him nothing but the best. But I hate that it's drawn out. Like, make your decision. Make your decision on what you want to do, and then so everybody else can kind of move and operate. So it doesn't delay things on us on who we want to go get.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I get it. On one hand, it's Argentina. Of course, I get it.
Yeah.
But that said, I feel like they have, like, they're, whoever is in that role next post Scaloni, they're going to be up against it a little bit because so many of these players will not return, right? You already had 19 of the 26 that returned from 2022 who were much, much older, right? We talked about that coming in. That was my take on them. And then, of course, you have Messi, who's just in a whole separate category, right? So the thought is that that this is, by all intent and purposes, his last one, but I don't know.
I think he'll
never
play.
never rule him out. Never rule him out. I mean, they are going to play a match in Argentina in 2030,
Yeah.
right? So
He also plays
Sorry,
in the
what?
MLS, so he's not going to take the kind of hits that he would if he was playing over in Europe for the next 4 years.
correct, correct. Yeah, so that's why I'm saying I'm not betting against them. But that said, like, they have some serious developmental and up and coming issues, right? Whoever steps into that role next. So, just saying, so not saying that it's not a better job or the U.S. job is better, but they really got to think about it. Just kind of like Ancelotti. Yeah, you get in a big name, but you look at Brazil, right? There was a lot of factors going on behind the scenes as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Any additional thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I think that this is the end of an era for Argentina. 2 finals in a row is pretty incredible. The theatrics at the end, yeah, I didn't care for that. It was, there was a moment, I'll have to find the clip, where the whole stadium, the Argentines and the Spaniards were chanting Messi's name, which was pretty cool. Got to see him with all the La Masia graduates there was a lot of respect there from Spain towards him. Towards the other ones, maybe not so much.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
But-
Well, there is talk that Paredes is going to be probably getting a multiple heavy ban.
Yeah. And he did the same thing against the Netherlands in the quarterfinal or the semifinal, whatever it was in 2018 or 2022. So, but then, yeah, I mean, Pochettino, I mean, going in, I mean, I don't know if there's any bigger pool than coaching your country. No matter how much he loves the U.S., it's not his country. But I know Italy, I guess, called Pep Guardiola, and the conversation lasted a minute apparently because Pep said, "I'm staying out for a year."
Is that what they said? A minute? That part I did not see.
Yeah,
Was it 1 minute? Yeah.
Because basically they asked him, and he said, "I'm not getting back in for at least a year."
Are you talking about the conversation with Maldini? Is that what it was?
Yes.
Is that the one? Yeah. Okay.
And he, that's a non-starter for Italy. They're not going to bring in a caretaker for a year. They have too many problems right now. So that's a big job, or that's a big name that I think will still stay open. So
Yeah.
I could
Yeah,
see
I
the
think
U.S.
Pirlo.
making a play for him.
Yeah. I think Pirlo ends up in Italy, rightfully so, because now you're starting to get to certain names, right? Maldini in the mix. I think Baggio's in the mix in terms of just some of the administrator stuff. And then Pirlo, I think, would be a perfect manager. So we'll see. But all right, so we're going to take a look. We're going to move on here. So really quick, so our 2026 World Cup awards. Golden ball goes to Rodri, silver ball to Messi, the bronze ball going to Kylian Mbappe. All right, well, that should be that's not correct. So golden boot. All right, golden boot going to Mbappe. So golden glove to Simone. Best young player, my guy. The other 19-year-old, I think, who I had mentioned, was, to me and to many others, I think has really been a revelation. And Elias, you talked about late in that match, right, on that cross, that big play. I saw it this morning, I saw the overhead view of that. Man, and if he does not strike that perfectly, that's an own goal, or that's gonna go in as a cross, right? So one or the other. So to do that and how he plays and doesn't hesitate at all of it, 19 years of age, in the position that he plays, just absolutely just incredible, just jaw-dropping for me. And then, of course, the FIFA Fair Play Award going to the Netherlands. Thoughts on these boys?
I didn't see the FIFA Fair Play one. That's kind of surprising that it's the Netherlands, but
Yeah.
because it goes to whoever has the least amount of yellow, red cards, right?
Correct. Yeah. They have
Yeah.
a system between reds and yellows and fouls and all that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. That one came out much later in the evening.
Yeah. Kubarsi, though, I thought they nailed that spot on. I mean, when do you see a 19-year-old play at the center back position for a major team to begin with anyway?
Right.
I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't happen very often. And then for you to excel so well at what you just did, he was fantastic.
Yeah, he was incredible. I mean, I've always been really high on him because of what he's asked to do for Barcelona versus what he's asked to do for Spain. Um, and I kind of everyone's always kind of said he would be more appreciated if he wasn't playing 30 yards from the other team's goal and having to defend the entire space. And so, but no, I mean, in general, this Spain team is built to go again. I mean, you got Lamine Yamal and Kubarsi, who will be 23 at the next World Cup. Pedri will be 27. Gavi will be 25.
And
Uh,
it's at home.
and it's at home. Nico Williams will only be 28. You have the center back from Real, who will be still in his mid 20s. So there's a lot. The pipeline is not running dry by any means here, and it just
Yeah.
seems like they just continue to win and continue to win, and there's something to be admired for the way they go about it, and it's the same way every year, year over year over year. So
Yeah, the news one of the sports directors for the news agencies out of Chattanooga just put up a nice post, a nice long and a letter, along with I guess the administrators from the university for Chattanooga, just with Spain and their stay and just how they do everything, starting with De La Fuente on down. Just class, man. Just absolute class. The way they play the game, everything. The one quote that came out of last night's final that I just kept hearing everywhere, right? Describing last night's match was just that football won, right? Football won.
yes,
The way they were playing. So that was so awesome to see. Really love it. I'll be curious to see. We talk about 2030 though. Be curious to see where that final will be played because all intent purposes they were thinking Madrid, right, at the Bernabeu, but now it's looking like it might be Morocco, Casablanca with this new state-of-the-art stadium that they're about to build. So be curious to see when FIFA actually names that.
yeah. I mean, I think FIFA would really, really ruin their relationship with the Royal Football Federation for Spain if they moved it out of Madrid or even Barcelona at the new Camp Nou.
Yeah.
That I think that especially since Spain was the original kind of they kind of put the bid together for the World Cup there. So
Yeah, they're kind of the equivalent of what the U.S. was in this one.
yeah,
So, well said. All right, so we move on. Now we start to look. So that does it in terms of our talk for the final, the awards coming out of the final, and the World Cup. But now we look larger
oh,
scale back at the 2026 World. So from the U.S. men's national team perspective here. So thoughts on best moment, maybe best moment, breakthrough performance, biggest disappointment, and then the legacy of this team. We'll start with best moment, Wes. Best moment from the U.S. men's perspective.
Best moment for me, I think, was the Bosnia-Herzegovina game, going a man down and then playing 30 minutes and having to survive that. Not only surviving it, but scoring another goal.
Yeah.
That would be best moment.
Elias?
yeah. I thought the opening game against Paraguay for me was like the way that they just went out and dominated and. That set the tone, I think. If they had gone out there and won maybe 1-0 or 2-1, kind of ugly, I don't know that we have as much momentum going through the rest of the tournament. So that was really cool just to kick it off, and it set the tone, I think, for the entire World Cup across all the games and all the teams. It got people excited.
That first 45 minutes, man, versus Paraguay could be potentially the best 45 minutes in the U.S. men's national team World Cup history, right? It was that good. So, breakthrough performance. I would imagine this is an easy one for everybody, but I don't know. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you could say Balogun for sure, but I think Malik Tillman really did a lot more. I mean, going into this World Cup, I'd gone on record saying I don't want to see him as much because I feel like he hadn't done anything. He's not consistent enough for me. I'd rather not have him in there. And then it turned around. Okay, we need to run everything through him. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So I thought he had one of the best performances and breakthrough.
Right.
Yeah, I mean Tillman was amazing. I really liked Alex Freeman. I mean, I thought he was
Yeah.
fantastic back there. I think that gives you a lot of confidence going forward. He's still what 21, 22.
21. He's 21.
So he'll be in his prime at the next World Cup.
Yeah.
Probably going to get a big move at some point. Even from where he's at right now. So
Yeah. I
for
would say
me,
he has to remain at Valencia for a season, doesn't he?
yeah, I think so.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, great stuff. So biggest, this one should be a relatively no-brainer, but biggest disappointment.
I think if you want to look at in terms of game, obviously the Belgium game and just the outcome, kind of how we started to how we finished was not great.
Yeah.
I think biggest disappointment player wise has got to be Christian Pulisic.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think those two are pretty straightforward there.
straightforward. Yeah.
We don't know. Nobody really knows how healthy he was coming in. But I do think there's a little bit of some of the criticism does have to be taken with a grain of salt because I do think that he is a little overhyped, and I don't know that that's necessarily super fair to him because I think we expected him to be something that he just isn't. He is not Messi.
He's not the dude.
He's not the dude. I mean, and if he's your second or third best player, I think then that's okay. But to put, this is the guy that we need to show up in the biggest moments, he just hasn't. He hasn't shown it, and maybe this is a catalyst for him. He'll be 31 at the next one or 32.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he'll still probably have one more good shot at being, featuring. So maybe it kind of lights a fire under him, but yeah, I mean overall. And I don't know,
Yeah.
again, if it was expectations versus performance versus injury, all of that. But when you add it all together, we thought that he was going to be the guy that could take us over the line, and he just did not
Right.
deliver.
Right. Well, he
I
is
just
the
think
LeBron James. He's the LeBron James of soccer.
Yeah.
But
I just think if you go back to a year ago, you take the whole summer off so that you could be
Right.
healthy and ready to go to have your best World Cup. And then you come out, and outside of the first half in Paraguay, I mean, he looked great, looked lively, looked every bit of what we thought. And then
Yeah.
it's just not good. I don't know. I think we have to get
Yeah.
rid of this whole, hey, we're going to take the Gold Cup off because it's not that serious anymore. I think we got to get rid of that out of our system, out of our national team players' heads. Like anytime you have a chance to put on the jersey, you need to put the jersey on.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we'll get that. I think we'll get that in a full cycle, or at least the first half of a cycle in Pochettino. Right. I think we'll get that. But yeah, I agree. They have to return to being dominant in the region. Right. So we shall see. But I think, yeah, from Pulisic's perspective, there's layers to this, right? Obviously with Pulisic, because you hit the nail on the head there, Wes, in terms of he didn't set himself up for success, and he opened himself up for this, given what took place last summer, right? Given his form since January at Milan. And then, yeah, I just, it kind of goes back to what you were talking about as to the star mentality, right? In terms of in this country, Wes, what you mentioned yesterday is if you're going to, you cannot, shun away the criticism when you're also, whether it's his style or not, or he doesn't want to be the leader. Okay, I get that. But when your face is on everything, when you're on every other commercial besides David Beckham, and you're cashing in those checks, guess what? Some of that, and you're being called, rightly or wrongly, being called Captain America. This comes with it. This comes with it. So, So it's not a matter of agree or disagree. It's just, or it's a difference between how things should be versus how they are. I guess. So yeah. All right. Legacy of this team. So really, in the end, is it a success? Right. The U.S. men's national team, the 2026 run up to the World Cup, given what we knew the questions coming in, and then of course the send-off series, how they started, how it ended. As a whole, was 2026 a success?
I think now with a little bit more distance from our round of 16 exit, I think you can say that there's definitely some things some building blocks there. Definitely some things that continue to, that we need to clean up. But, if I don't know the last time we've ever gone into a round of 16 game where we were favored to win. And whether we won it or not, I mean, that is, that's got to be the standard when you get into these knockout games, that you are the favorite. And so I do think that is a positive step. Now the next step is, okay, well, now you got to win the games that you're expected to win, even in the knockout stages. But I mean, there's a lot of teams, you had a better World Cup than Germany. Germany goes home in round of 32. I mean, the Netherlands, same thing. They lose to Morocco. And I believe, was that the round of 16 as well?
That's round of 32.
Round of
First
32.
round.
Yeah, first round. So and I know that, though, but Germany lost to a Paraguay team you beat 4-1. So, the margins are so fine at this level, that
Right.
but I think it shows us that we're not super far away, with a couple of extra, a couple of little tweaks here and there, maybe a couple more players coming through.
Yeah. Yeah. Wes?
Yeah, I think at the start of this World Cup, you would have told us, hey, at the end of this, you're going to win your group. You're going to get through the round of 16 or the round of 32. You're going to get to the round of 16. You're going to play a Belgium team, and you're just going to be outplayed. I think a lot of us would have taken that and been like, yeah, you know what? That'll be a successful World Cup. I think what changed it for us was we saw the way that we played. And I think the way that we played against Belgium obviously was disappointing. But I think the biggest takeaways in the legacy of this team is I think the excitement that they drew from the fan base. And I think the change that we're going to see that's coming out of this World Cup. And obviously, time's going to tell on if people are going to hang around for a long time, right? And watch the game. But the numbers don't lie. When you're hitting 51 million people watching the Belgium game, like, those are Super Bowl numbers. We're no longer talking about a USA or U.S. soccer is second tier or plays underneath the big boys as far as baseball, basketball, football goes. They're there. Their numbers are better than the NBA. Numbers are better than Major League Baseball, and they have been for a while on baseball side. But I think the legacy of this is like the excitement that it's built and where it's going to go from here. And if it means, like I talked about, I talked about before Copa America, if we've got to crash out of group play and not go, and what we get out of it is a new coach and a new kind of,
New
I don't
system.
know,
Whole
new system kind of, like the way we want to play, then so be it. And so for us not to get out the way we got out, and if it means that the way that we lost and to who we lost to, if that means it's going to change our system and the way we do things and the way the pay to play method and all that conversation's being brought up again, if something happens out of it, then that's the legacy of this team, and I'll take it.
Yeah, the most interesting part of this is that, kind of like 1994, right? Is it's going to take time to potentially see the fruits of our labor as far as the legacy of this, right? What comes out of it? MLS did not start up for another 2 years, right? It's not like it was immediate, and that still took time. That's still taking a lot of time, 30 plus years later, or 30 years later exactly. Excuse me. But I think that from a positive perspective, I felt that what really stood out was we finally found an identity for this program, for this team, right? Will it continue? The continuity piece is critical. More so, not in the players, because I think that's the key piece. That's the hard part, and that's what makes Spain so great, right? It's a puzzle. It's insert new player into the system, right? The system, the philosophy, the methodology, and the identity, and we don't change because I think the greatest thing you talk about Spain, going back to Spain, right? Is in a day and age of our game where it's heavy attack, heavy press, and rightfully so they press, but guess what? They still won this with defensive dominance, right? Defensive dominance, right? Their defense just looks different. They just don't give you the ball back, right? So, there's something to be said about that, because in the end, there's a reason why the saying "defense wins championships" exists, right? It can be a cliche, but it's so true. So continuing to bring the development of that identity for this program, the system, I think has to continue, right? But I think we finally found that. What I think we need to get away from is, I think you guys have to think back to this. In 2022, when we finally ended up getting bounced out, versus the Netherlands going into that match, and then of course the fallout after the match was drama involving Reina, right? Claudio Reina and Berhalter, all that stuff, and then Gio Reyna, all that stuff. So the Reinas and the Berhalters, basically. And then 2026, here we are again, and we basically got bounced out involving drama again with, with Balogun Gate and the red card. So we got to, I think these are inevitable distractions that we've been up against, right? So we've got to get away from that, right? Clearly got to get away from that. This team was together, but now this time it was outside forces because it was clearly there. You know, some of that is coming out more in terms with interviews from Balogun and a couple of the other people where the way the players played, it was as if it was a pressure that was now newly inserted on them when all of a sudden Balogun was reinstated. Not an excuse. It's just a reality because I think some of that can explain how bad they played because their performance was that bad. Their performance was that bad.
And I think he talked about how and I don't know that he necessarily said this directly, but if you read between the lines, how he felt kind of unfair pressure of, I'm playing now I have to go score 3 goals.
Right.
So I think that instead of him just being the guy that presses, the guy that's going to get a goal here and there, I think that took him from being him to, again, we talked about it with Pulisic. It's now we're trying to turn these guys into players that they aren't.
That they aren't.
And it's not a knock on them. They're very good players, but they're not Mbappe. They're not Messi. They're not Lamine Yamal. You know, they're not Harry Kane. They're not Jude Bellingham. And that's okay, but we can't put the pressure on them to be those guys when they aren't those guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you factor that in with a now all of a sudden, like, red ass, for lack of better words, highly motivated Belgium squad, right? Who that was clearly the only, they kind of, I mean, it was still Spain. Spain makes everybody look ugly, but that was clearly the best match they played by far. And Rudy Garcia's just tactics in that one were spot on, right? So it is what it is. So, but yeah, I think in the end, that's the question I kind of come back to. That's what I put on our chat, right? Is like, is the way we crashed out in the round of 16 versus Belgium at home in Seattle, everything in our favor, and then we perform the way we do, that type of embarrassment, is that the one that kind of is finally the kicker, right? The starter, the match that lights the fire to where we have to change the youth soccer system, how it works. You can talk, it's obviously well beyond just pay to play. There's way more to it than that. It's a system, right? But I think, could that be the legacy that comes out of the 2026 World Cup for the U.S.? So we shall see. So, all right, we move on. We're going to look at now, so the World Cup, our World Cup review section. So the legacy.
Yep.
Legacy.
All right, boys, I got to go.
You got to go. All right.
Good
We'll see you, Elias. Thanks, buddy.
Have fun, man.
All right, we'll see you soon.
So we'll look at now the legacy of the 2026 World Cup. So the numbers, right? So these are interesting. Wes, jump in here.
Yeah.
So obviously 48 teams, 39 days, played 100 yesterday. Yesterday's final marked the 104th match. Total attendance, 6.8 million, right? That's paid attendance. Average match attendance, 65, just under 65,500. Fan festival attendance across all the fan festival cities, 8.5 million. 308 goals. Your average goals per match scored were 2.96. And then, red cards, 15, tying for 6th. The last time there was 15, it tied for 6th with USA 1994 World Cup. 13 straight reds. And then, now this is what kind of becomes part of the legacy of this World Cup, right? Because you couldn't deny it. 37 VAR interventions and 52 on-field overturned decisions. So when you look at these, what gets your attention? What are your thoughts on any of these? Surprise you?
I think the on-field overturned. It just didn't. I watched every single game. I don't feel like there were that many, but that is a lot that we're overturning. And were they all for good?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if all of them necessarily were, but 15 red cards is a lot. But I think you also got to understand we opened up the field, right? So we have a lot more teams, a lot more games, a lot more potential. I think the goals is expected. I think the average goals per match is where you could argue that does it look the same or more than years past. All I see on the left-hand side is $. 6.8 million attended, 8.5 fan festival. That's a lot of money that was just pumped into the economy and then pumped into FIFA's pockets.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. I think I think that's the number I want to see, right? Because I've seen in terms of FIFA's post 2026 World Cup take home profit, right? I've seen everything projected from 11 to 15 billion, right?
That's
So
insane.
that's with a B, billion, right?
Yeah.
That's after everything paid for, all logistics, everything, everyone paid, all facilities, everything taken care of, and everything they shelled out money for. That is their projected profit, somewhere between 11 to 15 billion. And this is why all indications are people think that 2038, the U.S. is a
Could
heavy
come right
favorite
back.
in 2038. So now here's the question, though: is that in the court of public opinion in terms of soccer, right? Football, the football world, right? Are a lot of people going to have an issue if 2038 the World Cup comes back here in the U.S.? One, because it's the U.S. Two, because it's so recent, right? Just 12 years later. And three, just given the recent dynamics of politics with from Balogun Gate to who the president is, and then of course the perceived relationship with Gianni Infantino. What are your that's a lot there, right? That's
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts there?
There's so much. There's so much to all that. Do I think that ultimately the tournament was an absolute resounding success? Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, you're not going to see Trump's involvement later on in another World Cup. So I think it's more about what they were able to do while they were here. I was just looking up numbers, and the net profit that FIFA took home in Qatar was 2.3 billion.
Yeah.
So look at how much money they just made in this World Cup cycle. That's a lot, and it's hard to say, hey, we're not going to go back and do that again. I don't. I think what you saw, and a lot of Europeans loved being over here and seeing the different stadiums. We have the facilities to put on big tournaments and big shows, and I think that is going to continue. I think that's why you're going to see in 2028, you're going to see Copa America is going to be back here. They haven't made it official, but I think they will soon. We're going to see the Olympics here in the next 2 years in 2028 as well. There's a lot of things that are going to be pushed, and I think you'll see the Club World Cup back, and I think you're going to see a push to where maybe we see some Champions League type stuff that are happening
Yeah.
between
Yeah,
the
that's
countries.
definitely in the works, definitely in the talks. So
Yeah.
what was that number for Qatar again?
2.368 billion.
So you're looking at about a 600% return in profit from
Yeah.
2022 to 2026, right? Between Qatar and Canada, US, and Mexico,
Yeah.
the United 2026. So insane numbers, man. That's hard. That's obviously very hard to ignore if you're on the business side, right? So
Yep.
that's why I say, so that's the only, because obviously there's going to be so many countries limited at that point. There's also
Yeah.
talks of if it was a joint bid somehow with the U.S. and Oceania, but that's a logistical nightmare. So I don't know how they pull
Yeah,
that
it's
off.
so much travel.
Yeah, and I mean the U.S. itself is already a country that's huge. So to try to pull that off, I don't know how you do that.
I do
But
like.
yeah,
I saw one proposition that was out there because they were talking about what do we do if we extend it to 64? Is that what it was going to be?
Mhm.
64. Yeah, they
64.
said that instead of having it where you've got all these countries that are, or all these teams that are having to travel all throughout different parts of the country in their movement, that you designate host cities, and that one host city hosts the group, and so the whole group game they're played there.
Mm.
I think that might actually work and could be good
Yeah.
for those different cities. Like, hey, we know who we're getting in here, and we know how to pander to them. And hey, we know we're getting Scotland, so we need to make sure that we have enough beer to drink for the next 10 years, all in a
Yeah.
3
for
period.
for a week. Yeah,
Yeah,
2 weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah. Yeah, the logistics of that become interesting, right? You go to a 64 team field. I know we were just discussing this before we went online. The who was it? CONMEBOL, right? CONMEBOL
yeah,
president was already was supposedly going on record. The source is good, but it was in, I don't know, that hasn't been verified, but that he was saying that it is confirmed 2030 will go to a 64 team field. So I don't know. My concerns are I think you got to be a little hesitant in terms of after one cycle to go from 40 jump. You just went from 32 to 48. I don't know. I would like to see it at least one more, right?
I would, because we talked about that too. The third place teams getting in changed the whole element of each group play game.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think the way they played the games were different, and it made for a better tournament. So I'd hate to see that go away too.
Right. Yeah. So that will be an interesting topic going forward. So, all right, Coach. So the cruise bests. So what we kind of want to go over real quick. I was hoping we could get to Elias here before he had to run off. So big thanks to Elias for joining us as well. He's out at coaching school, so he's taking care of business. But so we kind of wanted to look at a couple of things in your thoughts, your opinion, best match, best moment, best goal, biggest surprise, weirdest moment. And any of those can also be tied to the U.S. men's national team as well. But kind of wanted to throw a couple of these at you. So best match.
Best match for me had to be the Cape Verde Argentina game. I mean, I think you could throw in the England Mexico game, was definitely up there. But just I think expectation wise, we knew that one was going to be a good game. I don't think anybody thought in their right mind what we were going to see with Cape Verde and Argentina and what they were able to do. So that for me was the best game.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of kept going back and forth between those two with an honorable mention going to the third place match, which was just unreal. I was like, we kind of got a surprise there, right? We just
defense optional all-star game is what we got.
For a match where we expected very little, we also didn't expect that. So I guess on that day, I should say, supporters, the fans won on that day. So, but my selection, I'm going to go with England, Mexico in the Azteca, just because of setting, what was on the line, just the Azteca itself, all of that, and just the drama, right? Because it also involves England, and it just played out a tremendous match. So I give slight edge for me. Best match was England, Mexico in the Azteca. So, all right, best moment.
Best moment for me. I mean, it's hard to go against when you talk about the way that it unfolded and how when Spain started this campaign, it started with Ferran Torres hitting the post, and then it ends with him scoring the game-winning goal to give him the World Cup trophy. So I think that 106th minute for me was the best moment, just to see them finish it and for him to be the one to do it after he kind of where he was after the first game, because he had not scored. Wasn't that his first goal?
Yeah. So pretty crazy. For me, best moment. So my honorable mention, I kind of went with what is it? Sidney Carball Lopez, the tying goal, the second goal from Cape Verde, right?
Yeah.
Just that moment when my man doesn't know what to do and runs out into the crowd and hugs and kisses his girlfriend, right? So just unreal. And meanwhile, you got 50,000 Argentinian supporters just silent, dead silent.
Yes.
Yep. Like, what is going on? We're in the 105th minute, 106th minute, and we're 2-2 with Cape Verde. So that was a fabulous moment. But my top moment, I'm going to go a little homer here, was second U.S. men's national team match versus Australia when they fully busted out the Country Road song. That moment was pretty awesome, right? So to see that on our home soil was pretty awesome. Doesn't happen every day. Excuse me. Doesn't happen every day, especially for a country where we're often not even though when we're playing on home soil, we don't have the most fans, right? So that was pretty awesome in itself to see. Pretty unique. All right, best goal.
See, you almost kind of took mine, but there's a couple that you could go. I think Sidney Lopez Cabral, man, that Cape Verde, that strike was unreal. That was up there. But then you could throw in Enzo Fernandez in the goal he had against, I think it was Switzerland. Yeah, because it was that game that
I think that was Alvarez. Was it Alvarez with the Switzerland?
No,
I think
Enzo Fernandez had the curler. He had the one that the second one that gave him the 2-1. Yeah. Alvarez had that last one to make it 3-1. But that both those strikes were great. Even then, Enzo Fernandez comes back with it again against England, hits another one. through traffic. So there were a lot of really good goals in this World Cup, but man, hard to top that Cape Verde one.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, my honorable mention was Gio Reynos Travella, but yeah, Sydney Lopez Cribal. That goal was just, I mean, perfection. So same for me. So biggest surprise could be anything. Doesn't have to, could be on the field, off the field, fans,
Yeah.
supporters, anything, just anything.
I think Norway, and not just maybe Norway in the way that they played, because I was one of the ones that was on record before the tournament talking about I think they're going to go deep and make a run. But I think the way that their fans were received by the U.S. and by how, I mean, people fell in love, man. Going to watch them play live in Dallas, that whole stadium was for Norway. You had a pocket of Ivory Coast fans that were right behind the bench. It was really a lot of family, but everyone was doing the row. And it was very similar to what Iceland had. Remember back in the Euros
Yeah,
when everybody started doing the clap and the Viking clap they had?
Yeah.
It's kind of almost the same kind of feel that what they got. And I don't know. They were a big surprise. I mean, advancing from a difficult group, you go out and you eliminate Brazil and reach in the quarterfinals, and you really take England to the depths there. I thought they outplayed them at times in that game.
So for me, I didn't go with this in best moment because there was so many of them. It wasn't singular. So
Yeah.
I kind of lumped it in with biggest surprise. My biggest surprise was, and it was awesome to see, was from because obviously this World Cup was hosted across 3 countries, right, to include Canada and Mexico. But seeing the interaction of foreigners, right, from Europe and everywhere else, interacting in different communities across the country, interacting with everyday Americans, right, not necessarily just in New York or just in LA, and they're surprised in terms of just from everything, just they're losing their minds about Buc-ee's to ranch, trying to sneak in ranch on planes going back, to like, what is this? Discovering Costco, and then discovering barbecue in Texas, all this stuff right across, Kansas, right? Lawrence, Kansas, taking in the Algerian team,
Yeah.
all these things, man, and just seeing foreigners discover beyond, it is what it is in terms of politics or government, but just everyday Americans that is like, hey, this is very different from what we see on our local news, local media every day in our home countries, right? For me,
Yep.
that was not on my bingo card. It was beautiful to see, and I felt like in the end, kind of a "We Are the World" kumbaya moment, right? Felt like that was what was needed across the world, in this country and across the world, right? So,
Yeah.
so how it kind of captivated everybody was just an unbelievable moment that really surprised me.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the coolest things that came out of this was seeing the reaction of all the people, and what the U.S. showed who they really are. Who we are as a nation. We're not what everybody says on social media or on your news. We are much more of an inclusive people, and we will accept everyone. Coming from all walks of life. And you want to come and have a good time, we're going to go have a good time together and enjoy life. I would say one more moment that I did not have on my bingo card that was awesome was Ted Lasso introducing Justin Bieber at the halftime show. I mean, I
Believe
did not see that coming, but that was a cool moment.
Yeah. So, hey, we didn't even talk about that. I didn't even ask you guys
Oh,
about
man.
halftime show. So,
I mean, it
halftime
was
show.
awesome.
What'd you
I thought it was good. I thought it was great. I mean, I was kind of surprised that Madonna showed up in person. I really thought she would be on video somewhere. But being there, that was good.
saw a
I get
post.
it.
I saw a post of it was a picture of Madonna, Ronaldinho, and Ronaldo on there, and the caption on it was like, "Man, the Black Eyed Peas have really let themselves go." It was when I saw it, it was hilarious.
That's spot on. That was spot on.
But yeah, I thought, I don't know, I felt like, was it needed? No,
No.
by all means, no. So but I felt like the halftime show was better than I think we could have done without the Tom Cruise pregame, pep talk. I thought we
Yeah.
could have done without that. But yeah, I just and then the rings. So apparently Spain got their rings from Infantino in the locker room yesterday. I don't know. Did you see that? I
No,
didn't
I
know.
didn't.
Yeah. So I was like, so did they already? So they had these already pre-established. So does that mean is there a third world country somewhere with rings for
About to
Argentina
get
going around?
Argentina
Right?
rings. Gotta
On
be.
the
There's,
on the
you would have
market.
had to get fitted and everything for that. That's kind of a
Right.
quick
That's what I
turnaround.
mean. That's
There's no
it's like
way.
that's a quick yeah. I was like, it's like really. So
I thought
anyway,
it was good. Here's what I can't wait for. I can't wait for the next 4 years and what Shakira is going to put out as her new song for the World Cup, 'cause she is killing it. I mean, that was a
I know.
great. I love the song. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
sad that I don't hear it every day for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, pretty awesome stuff. So, and then last one, weirdest moment. This one kind of popped in my head because there was a particular moment very, 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 very early in the World Cup, and I'll go first on this one. But
Okay.
is we go back to we go back to the opening match of the World Cup, right? Mexico and South Africa in the Azteca, and my man, right, the official is giving after he comes back from the monitor and he's giving the results of the VAR decision, you know, instant classic, right? There's two South Africans looking at him because nobody can understand. He's speaking English, but
Yeah.
nobody can understand him at all. And the faces they made, right, instantly became a meme, right? And this was the World Cup of memes, right? Your boy Jesse Marsh gave us a great one too, right? So very early, people forget about that one when he's doing the sideways dance, right?
Yes.
So there was tons of memes that came out of this World Cup. But for me, weirdest moment, awkward moment, probably I would say that one because it was so early and because it was the very first match of the World Cup, it just stayed fresh in my brain. So, Wes,
Yeah. No, I think the weirdest moment that you just don't expect things happening was the overturn of the red card, because for Balogun's red card.
yeah,
Because I mean, I know leading into that day, I'm like, all right, we're rocking with Pepe, we're loving it, and I think I was like getting ready, just got out of the shower, like getting ready for the day, going to move along, and all of a sudden my phone hits, and this is like red card overturned, and I was like, hold on, what? What are we even talking about? Where is that coming from?
yeah, yeah. Still surprised. Still, in a weird way, I just kind of felt, and I never said this aloud, but I kind of felt like it's like, dude, I think we can beat Belgium without Balogun,
Without
right?
him, yeah.
But then all the forces that came out after that were just you can't tell me that was not a distraction and a massive shot in the arm. That was not a distraction to the U.S. and a massive shot in the arm clearly for Belgium.
Oh,
So
they wanted it so much more after that. I mean, clearly in all the dances they were doing afterwards. Here, I'll
right.
give you another weird moment. It was yesterday. What in the world is Trump doing still standing in the middle? Like Infantino had to
That
go
one,
grab him.
that one was only not weird because it was expected. But I did see
It's true.
who
That
was
was expected. Yeah.
who was it? I think it was Mikel Marino. If you go back to it, at that moment when he's handing Rodri the trophy, he's busting out behind him. He's busting out the Trump dance as
Oh my God.
as he's handing him the trophy. So
I missed that.
so yeah,
That's good.
yeah, I missed it too. I saw it today. I was dying laughing. So it's in there though. It's in there. So. But yeah, that does it in terms of the cruise bests for the 2026. We could have obviously gone so much further with this, but
Oh
just
yeah.
try to keep it light. So that does it, man. The 2026 World Cup is in the books. 39 days, 104 matches, 21 episodes for us in, I think, was it like 42, 43 days? I'm going to have to do the
Yeah.
math on that again. But 21 episodes, you look back on it from our perspective, Wes, has it gone by fast? Has it been, from our perspective, the podcasts, the episodes, has it been anything like what you expected when you signed up and you wanted to be part of this?
No, I think it's been absolutely better than what I expected it to be, and I think where it's going to grow out of, I think, is going to be pretty awesome to see. Kind of the evolution, like we talk about. What's the evolution of what does U.S. soccer look like now after this?
Yeah.
What does our podcast look like now after this? And I think to see where this will all go, it's going to be a lot of fun. I had so much fun doing it. I mean,
Yeah, you were awesome, man. You were awesome. I thank myself for being able to
you
select
did
you.
you did a great job with that. Yeah. And the other guys that you had, just to bring,
Yeah,
Heyman gives
absolutely.
us a lot of good laughs. I mean,
Yeah,
that guy is
yeah. When you can fit us into his schedule,
sure.
the
He's
number
super
the number
busy.
one dude who was campaigning for this, and so I got to give him grief, of course. So
Yeah.
he's on his way out. He's in West Texas. So shout
Yeah.
out Brian. Hope you're safe. But yeah, our whole crew, right?
Yeah.
And I'll get into that in final stoppage time. But yeah, just since I asked you that and you replied with that, just from your perspective, just You've been awesome, and I think, and we got great plans, which we're going to hit on in a minute here in terms of going forward. But yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this, and just mainly, especially, primarily because of you guys. You know, just all of you, everybody in the crew. Just, I mean, as cool and as awesome, I feel that our, of course, I'm biased, but as cool and as awesome as our episodes have been, our chat has been off.
Our group
Off the
chat's so
hook.
much better than anything we've done.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been pretty hilarious, pretty awesome. So now, so the question that kind of begs the question is like, what is next? What is on tap for the pod? Because that's been the number one question that I fielded for like the last week, right? In terms of messages, DMs, text messages, emails. It's like, hey, what is going to happen? Are you guys shutting down the podcast, not doing it anymore? I said no. I said that's what it will. Part of the thought process and the evolution of this podcast was to cover the U.S. men's, U.S. women's national team, international soccer to a certain extent, primarily the focus being the big tournaments, i.e., maybe the world, obviously the World Cup, but you have the Women's World Cup coming up next year, with the coverage of the U.S. men's and U.S. women's national teams. And then I don't know, maybe we even do something for the Euro. I've been on the record as my plan is to actually be in the UK for the Euros in 2028. We shall see, obviously. So that's just a thought. So a lot more to come on that. But one of the things that we did want to share in the meantime, just to kind of give you an idea, just spitballing here, is some of the things of what's next for us, for the podcast crew. Some of the things that we'll be looking at with just future topics that we'll be tracking and will inevitably discuss, and future episodes is the status of Mauricio Pochettino. Will he return or not return? All indications are, as he indicated, that he will give a answer at some point in the coming week, or will it be a new coach? And then when it comes to the new coach, it's like, what is the U.S. Soccer Federation going to do, right? Who are they going to hire? Is it a big name? Methodology? We just talked about Spain, right? What makes Spain so great, right? So all of those things considered. Excuse me. Then also the U.S. men's national team. Keep in mind, they currently don't have a technical director, right?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, that's something that will be influenced or that will impact who the next head coach is. So very important that those two have to be on the same page, right? The overhaul, as Wes mentioned earlier, what will happen? What will be? Is it all fluff? Is it all talk early? Just because we're in the, fresh, the hangover. The World Cup is fresh on our mind, or will it kind of lead to a hangover that I know a lot of people, right, in certain circles, they want this to disappear. They want this to go away. They want this conversation to die down, right? Once club soccer starts and everything else, right? So, or will there actually legitimately be a overhaul of the youth system and how we do things in here with soccer in this country, right? Pay to play model, it's more complex than that because obviously soccer is not free. But is there a way for it to be better marketed, better financed? Absolutely, right? So that's another consideration. Summer transfer windows. We were talking about it offline before, as far as what is going to happen with Flo Balogun. What is going to happen? Some players. So if there's big signings, big transfers, we will look at that closely. I forget what the transfer closeout date is. I think September, somewhere right around Labor Day. I think
It's got to be close to September 1st. If I remember from my FIFA playing days, I do believe it's like August 31st.
Yeah. So the legacy will continue to dive into, hey, what is the fallout, right? Beyond kind of tied to the overhaul of the youth system. The legacy now, when we start seeing certain things, certain wheels in motion coming out of this 2026 World Cup, because there will be some. I promise you that. We just don't know what they will entirely be just yet. And of course, they will take time. Rising prospects, which is a very, very big one in terms of who will be making their way into these, coming through the ranks right now, the U17s, the U19s, all right, the U23s, to include a Olympic team that we have coming up in 2028. So Wes, I know you have some info for us on that a little bit. Give us a little bit of a teaser on that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we've got a lot that's coming up in this next coming 2 or 3 years. Most recently, we've got late 2026. You're going to have September 5th to September 27th is the U20 Women's World Cup. In November to December, you're going to have the U17 Men's World Cup. There is talk about a FIFA U15 World Cup and Festival, and that's a new kind of FIFA youth initiative that they're talking about in Azerbaijan to be hosted there. So you've got a lot of
forgot
really
about
good
that.
things that are coming up. Yeah, some of those. I think the U17 is probably the most exciting team to go look for us right now, based on our young talent that we have. And so I'm going to give you just a couple of names of some kids to kind of be on the lookout for, because we've got a lot of young talent, and these are players that could be introduced as early as 2030. Number one, you shouldn't be surprised by this, is Kevin Sullivan. He plays with the Philadelphia Union right now. He is an attacking midfielder and winger. He is already signed and on contract to when he turns 18 years old that he's going to Man City.
Let me ask you this: Is
yeah.
he? Two questions, two-parter. Do you really truly feel in your heart that he's the real deal? And two, who does he remind you of? Because you've seen him more than probably anybody on our crew.
Yeah, no, I've seen him play in person quite a bit. I really do think he is the real deal. I've seen him in training with Man City. There was a part that he went over and did a training with them, and he was carving up some of those big names that they have over there. So the fact that he can go and hold his own, it's kind of pretty exciting. I think he's still trying to get his footing as far as the MLS and the style of play and the way it's going, but he's getting consistent minutes. Who he looks like,
Does he remind you of anybody?
I don't, not really anybody on the U.S. side.
Oh yeah, it doesn't have to be limited to.
But yeah, I mean, maybe, and this might sound bad because you and I have talked about Gio Reyna may be the guy that never became anything. You know, we talked about
Right.
that, how kind of a disappointment. But he does have that Gio Reyna look to him when he plays. He's probably a little quicker, I would say, and his work rate's a lot higher.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But he's one of the big names that people are looking out for. I think the other one, and I'm really high on this one, is Benjamin Flowers. Now, he's probably not a 2030 project. He might be a 2034 because he is only 15 years old. So 4 years from now, he's going to be 19. He'd be definitely one of the younger players, but he's gotten a lot of looks already with the U15 national team, scored a lot of goals. The U15 national team actually just came out of the Vlatko Markovic International Tournament in Croatia, where they captured the tournament title. They beat the host Croatia. They beat Morocco. They beat South Korea before they took down Japan 7-5 in penalty kicks in their placement match. So, I mean, those are some big names as far as international teams that they went and took down. Morocco and Japan at the youth levels are fantastic teams. So the fact that he's been one of the stars on that team, he does play for North Texas SC, and he's working on getting more consistent minutes. But you're talking about a 15-year-old kid that's playing with grown men, and he's kind of one of the youngest players to appear professionally for North Texas SC too. Very calm under pressure, reads the game extremely well. So he's really exciting to watch. My third one for you is Julian Hall. He's a striker winger for the New York Red Bulls. He's a consistent starter for them right now. I think he could become the next American number 9 if he continues to progress the way he does. He's already competing against professionals. There's already talk about him moving on when he turns 18. So that'll be interesting to see. The other one I got for you is Nimfasha Berchamas. Now, have you heard that name before?
No, I have not.
You have not. So he plays with Charlotte FC. All right. This kid is explosive. He's got that elite 1v1 ability. He's super dynamic in transition, and he is one of the most dangerous attackers in his age group. He's already played in the 2023 and the 2015 U17 World Cup, and he became the first U.S. men's youth player to score in 2 different World Cups. So normally those cycles, that's a 2-year cycle that those World Cups happen on, and you don't normally see a kid play in them twice because they don't usually bring the 15-year-olds along. So that's what we're looking at for this World Cup in December. Does Benji Flowers become one of those 15-year-olds that they bring along that he'll play on 2 cycles? But Berchamas was the first one to ever score twice like that. So he plays with Charlotte FC, like I said. He's an MLS kid. You're going to get to see him more and more as the years go on. He's got a good chance. And the other one is Maximo Carrizo. He plays for New York City FC. He's a central midfielder. I think he's an excellent passer. He controls tempo really well. He's got smart positional awareness in where he is. He has that mature understanding of a game from a kid that's young. I think he could be one of the type of midfielders that the U.S. has historically lacked. One who dictates games instead of just covering ground. Because we talk about, how good Tyler Adams is, but he's so good at covering ground, and he does a lot there. But he's the type of player that can really dictate the outcome of a game, and we don't have those type of guys in the midfield and that central midfield holding right now. So he's another one to look out for. The thing with him is he also has Argentinian roots, so there has been some interest on him being pulled in. But he played US U17, he played the U18, and he played in the 2025 U17 World Cup. And he's continued on with the U18s in 2026. So there's a lot of excitement going on. And look, those are just 5 ones who have been in the system already. When you don't talk about Nikolai Banks, you talk about Mathis Albert over there at Borussia Dortmund. We have a handful of players that are playing already overseas that are dual national kids. I mean, people that you could really see. Will Ostrander plays at PSV. Edward
the guy I've
Yuma.
been hearing a lot about. Oh my God, I'm forgetting the name is not correct. It's like Mehmeti. You know, I'm talking about midfielder. I don't know, playing in MLS right now.
Playing in the MLS right now? Oh, it's the guy from New York Red Bulls. Yeah.
Yeah. What's his? Yeah, because I think he plays with Hall. I think
He does play with Hall.
is
His
his
name, I heard him the other day, and I just heard it this morning too. They were talking about him.
But
It's Medmedi or something like that. Yeah.
yeah. That one I've been seeing a lot. So I'm like kind of interesting, right? Kind of interesting. So we'll see. And then I think who's the other one? Yeah. Well, you talked about Banks, right? What do you think? Does he make? Is all indicate? I don't know. Well, here's the question with that, because obviously he wants Germany to happen, right? So, and
Sure.
you have to want a guy that wants to be here first of all. But
Yeah.
how much of that will also now be influenced by Klopp taking over, for Germany?
I don't think Klopp taking over for Germany is good looks for us as far as getting him. I think you would want to play for him, but the thing becomes, does Germany want him? Do they want him and pull him in as one of the young ones, or do they have guys in their system that they're already pretty high on? So it's just going to depend on like what kind of looks and offers he gets from them, because I know if he wants to come play here, he's got a spot. I think there could have been a chance that if he wanted to, that he could have made this roster this time around.
Yeah.
There was a lot of talk of that. So, yeah, I don't really know, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't think with the inclusion of Jurgen Klopp taking over as the manager that bodes well for us. But and the other one, it was Adri Mehmedi, is his name.
Okay, so I wasn't too far off.
You were close. Yeah, you were right there. So Mehmedi is one of the ones. I think seeing how Diego Cochin develops, because really we've talked about the need for an elite goalkeeper that we need here, because we don't really have one. But he's the Barcelona kid. He's going to Denmark. I can't remember the team that he's playing for, but he's going to be in Denmark this year. So Diego Cochin, remember that name. Follow his progress and track him. Man, there's a lot to be excited about with the youth soccer picture in America, as far as who's playing at the international level.
Yeah, there's a lot. Excuse me. When it comes to goalkeepers, it seems often the case, right? It's been my experience too. Is you either have like a loaded full stable of them, or you don't have any.
Yeah, there's
it's
none.
either
Yep.
it's one or the other. It can never be just like a steady flow. So, which is alarming, because I feel like that's the one position where, and it was exposed in this World Cup, that's the one position where I feel we have a legitimate crisis, right? So we'll see what comes of that in the coming years, coming months as well. So I know Brian had mentioned that there was a four-match friendly series coming up that the U.S. is going to announce dates. The U.S. men's are going to announce dates. So we'll see. So we continue with what's next for the podcast crew. Some of our topics, some of the things that we'll be tracking closely for future episodes will also include just some of the stuff that Wes will be diving into a lot. It's kind of a big reason why I asked him to be part of this venture, right? Is because he does his homework on so much of this stuff. Is Americans in Europe, Americans in MLS in particular, their current form, how that affects, whether it's the senior team, the U.S. men's national team, the senior team, or one of the youth teams. Because again, we talked about what's coming up over the next couple of years in terms of different tournaments, upcoming friendlies, the U.S. women's national team upcoming friendlies. More news will start to track more stuff for the U.S. women's national team, and then of course upcoming Nations League rosters and camp and Nation League matches. So, thoughts on any of this other stuff besides the Rising Prospects? What?
No, yeah, I mean it's exciting when you've got these World Cups and international tournaments that are coming up. So I think obviously we got 2027. We've got the Women's World Cup in Brazil. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And then you've got Nations League, you've got Gold Cup in another year coming up, and then you've got the Olympics. I mean, there's a lot of soccer like every summer, and so like I said before, I think USA, if we want to continue to make the jump and keep being the team to beat in the area, we've got to be dominant, and for us to be dominant, we have to have our best players playing every chance we get. So, I mean, you just don't see other countries take time off like that. Like, you just don't see it.
Correct. And yeah, so I'm excited about that. I feel that's another big and by no way, shape, or means should that be a cap in the USSF's cap, a feather in their cap, I should say, in terms of like that's part of the change to the system, because MLS had already announced that, right? So
Yeah.
So I don't want them to kind of take, not that they would, but I don't want that to be perceived as false credit in terms of the change of the system there, right?
Yeah.
Because that's not, we're talking from the bottom, from the lowest level on up, not the other way around. But clearly it's got to be more, it's the issue when we talk about a system, it's a cultural and developmental system issue. That's what we have here, right? And until we change it on some level, right? And that comes in the form of pressure, that comes in the form of education, awareness, and then of course, and demanding more, right? And it starts and ends with our federation, and then from there, obviously, you got to go the road of lawyers, politics, number of factors. But speaking of lawyers, here's the question I have for you from a player development perspective, right? Rising prospects, right? And probably Sullivan, I guess, is probably like the perfect example. So this is very much a sports law question, but from the child labor laws perspective, right? What's to say or what's to prevent some of our, like he's an example that can get to Europe sooner, right?
Sure.
Because when they got to wait till they're 18, it's not to say that they're old men, but that doesn't mean that they can, you know what I mean? Because their development could be stagnant potentially,
Yeah.
right? And in terms of where we're trying to go with this, with our 1% of our talent, right? That's something. What are your thoughts there? Can that be amended? Can that be changed in the future? Has that even been discussed? Because I get it from number of factors that come into play, but I don't really know enough details on this one.
Sure. So I have not heard it being discussed probably near as much as it needs to be discussed. But for some reason, there are loopholes that you can get around as far as Christian Pulisic going over to Dortmund earlier. He was there when he was 16, I think, and part of that because he lived over in Europe for a little while. So there's loopholes, and where you see some of these younger players that are playing for those clubs. We were talking a second ago about the amount of I can't remember if it was off the air or not, but we were talking about the amount of U15 players that are already playing overseas and already on big clubs. I was going through the roster of who they had right now and who they were using. We've got a kid at Burnley. We've got looking at some of these others, the Barca residency. There's a lot of kids coming out. There's a kid from Monaco. There's a lot of Barca residencies. That's what I'm saying.
Something I want to dive into more, right? Like, because I need to first understand it to then understand. Okay, how it's not a matter of going around it, but some of these questions, I feel over the next 4 years, they're going to have to be asked and better understood more.
Sure. Because I think you're right. I think Kevin Sullivan's at the point now where he needs to be training full-time with Man City if he wants to hit that next gear. Because I think he's going to hit his his kind of where his limitation is, and then does it hurt him that he has to sit for 2 more years before he goes over there? You know,
Right.
it's kind of surprising that they signed him so
that's not
early.
what's happening. Yeah, we know that's not what's happening in Europe. You know,
Oh no, yeah. The
Yeah,
minute those kids
so-
they find them, they're in the system and they're growing right away.
but yeah, he may be 18 at Man City, but now how long is it going? Two things: how long is it going to take him to go learn that process, go through them, before he's going to have to now work his way up, earn minutes.
Right.
He's that's what I mean by potentially behind. Whereas if he was
you're
already
right.
there, right. And not to mention he has to make an adjustment to a whole new incoming coaching staff too, right? So he doesn't even know what to expect, right? Are they gonna not have a fallout, but maybe they don't see him, that coaching staff sees him in the same way that, Pep's staff saw him,
True.
So,
True.
so we'll see. So, but that is going to do it for what's next for the crew. So, just a little bit of an inside look as to some of the things, some of the topics, some of the content that we'll be looking at. This is just a small amount, and Wes and I were talking about it earlier, but this is just a small amount of some of the stuff that we're looking at in the for the upcoming months. But we are now joined by, as is usual, deciding to
Great.
fit us into his schedule when he sees fit, Mr. Big Ben Heyman. What's up, brother? How are you?
It's good to be here, guys. After driving for 11 hours from Houston out here to Big Bend, so it's good to
Well, my
see some
first question
smiling
to you-
faces and Aaron.
My first question to you is this: it's like, how on earth do you have any service out there? You got pretty good service. I wouldn't expect you to have any service out there.
Well, we have Mr. Elon Musk has what he's called Starlink,
Oh,
so
Starlink.
we
There we
get
go.
to connect through them, and we connect through the cabin that we're in. So
Yeah,
got hooked up,
Awesome.
and the first thing I needed to do was make sure I drop in here on the podcast and pay my respects to the end of this World Cup.
there you go. Awesome. Well, appreciate you being here. I love the reminds me of home. Big West Texas skies. I recognize that behind you. How's the weather out there?
That's beautiful. I mean, it's like in the upper 70s right now. They just had some rain come through, so
Yeah.
it'll be nice. It'll be nice tonight, and then tomorrow 94, and Wednesday will be 99, and like
Yeah.
a proper Texas afternoon.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. So, hey, we're not going to keep you too long because we're already wrapping up. But some of the stuff that we covered today. So the final, we talked about the award winners. We talked about we dove a little bit more into looking back at the U.S. men's national team. We did our World Cup review. We talked about our cruise bests amongst a few things. But
You
just
guys did a
overall-
lot.
Yeah, we covered quite a bit actually. So, and then talked about what's on the horizon for the podcast going forward. Because as everybody, one of the big things we want to share with everybody is share this. If you're listening to this, make sure you like, rate, subscribe, get on our YouTube channel, grow that YouTube channel. Eventually, the plan is to make a separate YouTube. I was trying to do it during the World Cup, but it was too much. It was too much in terms of how we wanted to separate things. So there will be a separate YouTube channel for this podcast in the future, in the coming months. So be on the lookout for that. But the key is to get the word out that we're not going anywhere. So my question for you, Brian, is thoughts. Has this experience in terms of what we're doing here with the crew, with the podcast, has it been anything like what you thought, or has it been a good experience? What are your thoughts? Because I know you've been busy. You've been camping it up quite a bit.
Yep.
We've been trying to get you on here whenever we could, but your experience, has it been a good one?
It's been great. I mean, there's nothing better than sharing your love for the national team and sharing your fandom. And these are things I wish we could have done, 94, 98, 2002, back in the old days, But to see where we've come from as a fandom to what we are now, to see going in 90, 98, having small pockets of fans in France, and 2002 having small pockets of fans in South Korea, to filling stadiums here in the United States. The hope is that we can carry that momentum into these September friendlies, whatever they're going to be. But I think the podcast has been great, being able to share, our opinions, our views, and our love for the game. I mean, and Hector, you do a great job with this, whether it's through this one or the 50-50 pod or Inside Texas High School Soccer. Everybody knows how much you care about the game, because this is a labor of love. And being able to invite all of us on, some of us some of us who are getting close to those 10 stars on their jersey, um, for appearances and 15 stars and things like that. Anytime I get a chance to come on and share these moments with you, Hector, I enjoy it. I love being able to share the game and, share my sometime unique perspective of the game and have fun doing it. And I hope everyone that's watched and everybody that is, listened, has enjoyed the banter, because I think that's what keeps it going. Is when you have proper banter and you love being able to banter with your friends. That's what keeps the game going. If you're just sitting there and the World Cup's over and now we're not going to talk about it, we lose that momentum. And I hope that's not the case. I know the chat thread was going today, and we'll keep it going. And we want to expand it, and we want more people to be a part of it. And hopefully through my connections with the American Outlaws, maybe we can bring some of their guys on to the podcast every now and then and kind of share their experiences and things like that. Maybe just help expand this podcast, even further than where we are right now.
You're not gonna kiss me, or am I dying?
Oh God,
It's not.
no.
You're
God, no.
scaring me, man.
Well,
You're scaring
I
me.
mean, I mean,
I've never.
after Barcelona wipes the floor with you guys this season, I mean, who knows what you're gonna feel like, buddy? But
Hey,
you
man.
know,
Hey, they're gonna
the
have to.
the
They're gonna
dark
have to
art.
come.
Hey, we saw the dark arts last night. We saw the dark arts of Barcelona all over the field, man, and it's
Well, I'm
coming.
saying, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. So it balances out with the white magic from, I call it the white magic from Real. But
And
yeah,
then
man.
the
No,
pocketbook magic from Chelsea, because from what is it, from Stamford Bridge to Wembley, we'll buy everyone that we see.
hey, your boy. I'll tell you this. Your boy Enzo. He's gonna be a marked man once the Premier League starts in a month.
Oh,
Because
of course he will.
his comments, his
If he
comments. Yeah,
stays with us, I mean, that's a big
yeah,
conundrum that Xabi Alonso's got to deal with.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'd
I'm
love to see
excited.
him stay, because hey,
Yeah,
he's a nasty, vicious little brute. But you know what?
yeah.
Come club season, he's my nasty, vicious little brute.
Yeah, he didn't do himself any favors though in terms of his comments about English people. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, and then his new
But
nickname is the Bison because he flips people over, evidently.
I will say this though, I am excited to see. This will probably be the most I've seen Chelsea play since the Didier Drogba days, just because I'm excited to see what Xabi Alonso does with them. Because I
I am
think
too.
just he was never done right at Real. It's one of the things that pissed me off about just Florentino Perez's process. He learned that's not the way to do things. So now, of course, that's why we have Mourinho in there. But
Yeah,
still, just pissed me off.
I
Yeah,
mean, from what I heard this past weekend, they had a couple of friendlies and they looked really good playing in the 3-4-3
yeah,
that Xavi likes. So hopefully when you get guys like Reece James and Enzo and those guys back, hopefully we'll see how it looks.
yeah, yeah. It'll be interesting for sure. You hit on something. Excuse me. You talked about the people, the casuals, the ones that are just jumping on here, listening, or have just hadn't heard of either this podcast before. Maybe you're a soccer fan, a football fan, or just kind of newly discovering soccer. Right? Don't You owe it to yourself, right? One, we're asking you to come on board, continue to follow us, give us, like, rate, subscribe, all that. Tell other people, tell 5 other people to do the same. But also, if you're already a big supporter of the sport and you're engaged in the sport, great. Obviously, we don't have to stay engaged. But if you're new, if you're a casual and you're not sure, don't be. Nothing kind of gets my blood going more than the every 4-year casual, right? That comes in,
Yep.
swoops in, complains about not enough scoring, right? So that's where the quote unquote stupid Americans comment comes from, right? But the not enough scoring, or hasn't watched the full game since the last World Cup, but can clearly but immediately can tell you 10 different reasons why they don't like the sport, or 10 different changes that soccer should make, so then they can all of a sudden watch it. It's like yesterday's final was a perfect example of what makes this game so beautiful, because yeah, the final was horrible. It was ugly, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that Argentina registers their first shot at the 117-minute mark, Spain is up 1-0 in probably the most dominant 1-0 beatdown you'll ever see. And yet Argentina came close late in the game, sending that to penalties, right?
Yep.
So that's this game, right? And those of us who coach it, those of us who have played it, you clearly know is what makes it so beautiful is also its imperfections, right?
And
But that
then us
game,
high school guys, us high school soccer guys, I encourage you, take one of your pointy ball coaches who's never been to a game, take them to a live game. Um, when I was at Bonham, I took my athletic director to an FC Dallas game, and 10 minutes into the game, he's like, "Oh my God, look at that guy! That's a wide receiver. Oh my God, look at him! That's a linebacker." And I'm like, "Do you see what I'm trying to do? Trying to help your athletes, but help my team." And I think guys that have never seen the game, never experienced it live, there's a difference watching it on TV and watching it live in person. Watching it live in person, you don't have to listen to Alexi Lawless. Watching it live, you get to enjoy just the passion that you'll see from fans. Depending on what stadium you go to, you'll get to experience just some great passion and some great soccer, and you'll get to see the athleticism up front and personal what these soccer players can do.
yeah. And I would say that there's probably the two sports that are probably the most in-person best watched sports, in my opinion, are soccer and hockey. Right, totally different. Right, I think
Darts.
from the hockey
Darts.
perspective, I would say darts. Hey, if I can do it, if I can get better at it while under the influence, I don't know. I don't know about
You've
that.
never
But
lived until you screamed 180 with a bunch of under Englishmen that are just as drunk as you are.
yeah, although I have been into the new one on the Ocho. You seen what do they call it? The axe throwing sport now. I forget what they call it. But yeah, that's pretty fascinating to watch too.
Oh man.
But no, anyway, I was just gonna say that yeah, getting involved, finding a couple of different podcasts, staying in tune, right? Different leagues, not just from the U.S. men's national team perspective, but hey, follow a couple of players, learn a club, learn a league, different leagues, not just the Premier League, obviously, and not even just the MLS here, right? Get him, there's so much soccer
Yeah.
at the local levels, right? I was because of my schedule, I had to stop being a season ticket member, but for years I was a San Antonio FC season ticket holder, and you don't have to go. You go to Toyota Field, right here in San Antonio, in San Antonio, and seats about 8,000, I think 8,200, 8,400, something like that. But it's like such an intimate place to watch a game. You are right on the field, right? Great place to watch a game, and the environment is pretty ruckus, pretty raucous. So yeah, so get out there, watch a game, watch it on TV. There's no excuse now because when I was in middle school, elementary, high school, you had to work to try to find something on TV. You really had
Fox
to work.
Fox Sports World, man. That's what we had to go find the games on
Yeah,
if we were
yeah,
lucky.
yeah,
My grandfather and I, we drove to the Cotton Bowl numerous times to watch FC Dallas because we didn't have a team in Houston. So,
right.
if you really want to watch the game, there's plenty of ways to watch it. And if you don't know, if you can't find a way to watch it, give me a call. I will show you. I will tell you how to find it. No problems.
Whatever you do, don't take somebody to watch a Houston Dynamo match, please. I beg
Absolutely
of
not. Don't go
you. I
there.
beg of you.
They've
I
got
beg
a
of you.
they've got a they've got a little stadium down the street. You can watch Dynamo Dose. They're a lot better.
Hey, where do they play?
They
Where
were
does
playing over at the SaberCats, the rugby stadium, where DR Congo was playing. But since the SaberCats aren't they suspended operations this year? I don't know where they're playing. I have not really paid much attention.
Yeah, I had read. I had read some of that. That's why I was kind of curious, like where are they playing? So
Yeah,
interesting.
I will find out and we'll get it out there.
Well, that is going to do it as we wrap up episode 21 of the Red, White, and Crew podcast. Again, like, rate, subscribe. You can find us on X and Instagram at Red, White, and Crew Pod, as well as on at 50_50 pod, since we are a member of the 50/50 Podcast Network. You can also find us on Instagram at 50_50 podcast. YouTube channel, the 50_50 podcast. Go on there, like, rate, subscribe. Any complaints? There she is. Hey, how are you?
Good. How are y'all?
Good. Though, yeah, go on there, give like, rate, subscribe. If you think we're good, give us a good rating. Tell us why. If you think we're horrible, tell us why. We'll be sure to get rid of Brian Heyman immediately. All right, and so we'll take care of business there. But
It's gonna
it
take a
is that
lot
time.
to get rid of me, guys. I'm letting you know.
Stoppage time. We're going to go through our final thoughts as we wrap up our post-World Cup coverage, right, of the 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup. Brian, before we lose you due to Starlink, we'll let you go first. Final
Uh,
thoughts. What do you got?
Man, it's been a great World Cup. I mean, a whole month and a half of soccer. Um, just the moments, the experiences have been 99% enjoyable, 1% terrible. Thanks again, American Airlines. You guys suck. But you know, it's this is the kind of the kickstart we need here in the States. Kick this game back up again. Let's get more people out watching games. Hey, national team's going to have 4 home games in September, October. I'm hearing mostly East Coast area, but you get a chance, go out and watch a game and support the guys. Don't just say, "Oh, I show up for the World Cup." Show up for the friendly. Show up for everything else. Be there behind the guys. Because I think we're going to see a lot of new faces come September. Maybe even one behind the bench. You never know.
Right. Yeah, we got. I keep forgetting to double check that date for the U.S. women versus Spain. That's going to be a doozy, right? Two matches in like 4
The
days,
6th and
and
the 10th, I think. Yeah,
is it
October
October
6th
or
and 10th.
September?
It's
October.
Yeah.
October.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have they listed locations? for
DC
that,
and
or-
Philadelphia.
DC and Philly. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, that'll be awesome. That'll be. I mean, you're talking about one and two in the world, including hosting the reigning women's world champion. And that's the other thing that gets lost in all of this, right? Is Spain, for the first time ever in history, we have one country is both of the World Cup holders for both the men's and women's teams. So pretty remarkable in terms. You see how much, you know. Back in 2015, I was talking about how keep your eye on Spain on this, the Spanish women's national team, and they got development down, man. They got development down, and it's about so much more than, hey, if you can afford to play here, we'll take you. So yeah, so we have to really, really do a different type of investing in our youth system, and obviously that starts with change. So, Wes.
Yeah, no, final thoughts. Amazing World Cup. Probably the best one ever. I will have to say it's going to be sad to see Zlatan Ibrahimovic leave the analyst booth. He announced yesterday that he is one and done, and he's gone. So that was very sad to see. But just like Zava, he's here and then he's not. So interesting tidbit, though. No, I think it's really good. I think it's going to be for the U.S. in the upcoming weeks and months. I think who we get as technical director is going to be very important, that we get that hire right. And from there, I'd love to see someone who is more involved with the development, with the U15, the U17, the U20, kind of like what Spain has done. That coach went through every level and then knew all of these players, and why they looked so good, I think, was a big reason of that. Is he just knew them in and out and knew the right strings to pull. So we need a little bit of that.
Yeah, there is something to be said about that, because Luis de la Fuente, I mean, obviously he's a qualified coach. He's a great coach, but he's just the management perspective and his temperament. And could you imagine some of these guys that have been with him for basically a decade? You would think they might be like sick of him by now, and they love him.
No, they love him. They grew up with him. They love him.
Yeah,
Yep.
there's something to be said about that. Yeah.
Yep.
So, anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's it. That's it for me.
Oh, was that
So,
everything? Okay. Sorry.
yeah, that was it.
Yeah. So, yeah. Thank you. My final thoughts. Stay tuned, obviously, because we will be bringing you another episode in the coming weeks. We just don't know when yet. We're gonna, it could be. I mean, it could be an emergency podcast later this week, depending upon what comes out of Pochettino's camp, right? So we shall see. I know some of the indications where people thought that he would be staying because he had some input in Steve Cherundolo's hire for the U23s, right? So how much truth there is to that, I don't know. I feel like if you would have asked me a week ago, I felt like it was 70-30 he's staying. Now I kind of feel like it's maybe 60-40, 55-45. I really don't know. And if he does, I still get the impression that maybe we only have him through Copa America, I think. So,
Yeah.
and that will be the question, is like the people that do the final hiring, right, with the soccer federation and throw money at them, are they going to be okay with that, right? So
I think depending on Copa America alone will depend on whether he stays. If we're gonna play in Copa America in 2028, I think I think he'll want to stay. If we're not playing in 2028, then I don't see him wanting to stay. And that's a big target for Pochettino.
Yeah,
Is Copa
and
America.
I don't know if you saw it, Brian, but we did talk about it earlier. It was the the source was good, but not confirmed from multiple sources. But there was one source out there, a good source, saying that the CONMEBOL president has gone on record saying that that it is confirmed that the 2030 Men's World Cup will go to 64. So just
I'm
FYI.
so excited for that Bolivia Philippines game. It's going to be so much fun. You
Guadalupe
guys are
versus
all
Vatican.
invited to my house.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that game's going to be played at Baytown Sterling High School. We've already put in for a site.
It's going to be Guadalupe versus Vatican City, man, at 2 a.m. So I'm here for it, man. I'm here for
Hey,
it.
we're all in.
Honduras and
finally
India.
gets
Telling you.
Italy
Yeah.
finally gets in.
Italy's going to find a way still not
Hey,
to get in.
If
The
Italy still
Cook,
doesn't
the
qualify,
Cook Islands and Andorra, man, we've got this.
if Italy does not qualify, then I disown them. So
I just think they don't need to play anymore. Just give it up.
I mean, tell me about it. They got 4 stars. They have to be able to figure things out. Like that's the other extreme, right? You talk about how just they ignored a lot of red flags, and then boom, look what happens. So yeah, and even then, it's still not guaranteed. They just won the Euros in 2021, so I mean,
Yeah.
still not guaranteed. But my final thoughts. First of all, thank you to. I want to give a couple of thank yous. Thank you to obviously Brian on here, Wes. We were talking earlier. Big thanks to both of you for your work, your commitment, your sacrifice, your dedication, and for sacrificing time from your summer to do this. Right? Because you're right, it is a labor of love, and but I feel like it's along the way when you start getting some of the feedback. It's awesome, and just it comes from a good place in all of our hearts. And we're all coaches, but we're all great supporters and fans of the game, of the beautiful game. And it's something that we're trying to give back, I feel like. So whether you agree with us or not, it doesn't matter. That's what we want. The discourse, everything, that's fine, right? But continue to like, rate, subscribe, share with somebody, continue to listen, because we want you to listen for the information, not just for affirmation. Don't just listen because you do agree with what we say, but listen for the information as well, the different take, the different spin that some of us will have on from time to time, depending upon the topic, right? But a big thanks as well to Elias, who was on with us earlier, Elias Ramos, as well as Rafa Castorena, my sidekick, my co-host for Inside Texas High School Soccer, the Obi-Wan Kenobi, as I call him, of Texas High School Soccer, he's our L3 contributor on this, and he's been great. We've been together now it's going to be almost 6 years covering different things, so really appreciate him. Elias, really appreciate a great mind for the game, really appreciate Elias as well. And then, of course, Mr. Michael Merritt, who was the only non-coach on this, and that's kind of why I asked him, but just a great from the business perspective, from the technology perspective of the game. I know he's limited in a new role, new job, and when he could jump on here, but still provides a lot of great stuff for us, and look forward to him being with us in the future as well. So big thank you to the entire Red, White, and Crew podcast crew, as I call them. So all of our new listeners, our supporters, thank you so much for riding with us. To continue, go back. If you have not listened to some of our previous content, go back, listen to it, and give it a rating, give it a thumbs up, like those videos. That's what keeps us circulating in the algorithm. But big thank you to everybody. Thank you for allowing us, giving of your time to listen, to spend some of your summer with us with this World Cup. And then the last thank you that I want to give is to the neck coach. I'm called the head coach, but she's the neck coach, right? And we know the neck controls the head. My lovely wife, who's just huge supporter of the podcast team, of the 50/50 podcast team, and what she does, her sacrifices and her work behind the scenes in the production of this thing. So really grateful to her and my family. My daughters as well, who don't get to, they're probably grateful that they don't have to put up with dad when I'm doing this. So, but either way, really appreciate them. So that is going to do it for episode 21 of the Red, White, and Crew podcast. We will be coming to you in the coming weeks. So in the meantime, you know what to do. Make sure, like, rate, subscribe, share this. And we're going to share this video one last time on our way out. So thank you again. And until the next time, you know what to do. Keep downloading and keep listening.
Word from you. Can the US win this World Cup? Yes or no?
Yes.